roll with it. We can cut it short.
Hello, welcome to Race Brain Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan. Joining me, Brakken Crocker and Jack Bauer. Today, we got some DEKAFIT to talk about. Talk a little bit of OCR, recent race in Houston. We're going to touch on some of the results of the competitive series in both Savage and Spartan. Then we're just going to kill time. Jack had something like locked and loaded for us, but he wasn't happy with it. He just burned all of his work.
Got a new laptop at work. Had it saved on the desktop instead of Google Drive. I should have linked it up, and just having a little file issue, but we'll talk about it one day.
Excuses are like ultras. Everyone's got them, and they all stink.
Ultras are fantastic.
BK, I hit you up. I didn't respond to after I messaged you because that's sometimes how I roll with text messages. But I was like, "What's the most minimal shoe you'd run in?" And
you just left me hanging. I thought I gave him bad advice.
I was like, not what I wanted. Taking this question elsewhere. But that's kind of what I've been thinking. I've been running. My shoes are too super. I'm like worried my like calves and feet are like weakening, you know? So if I'm doing like shorter runs, like 3 to 5, 6 miles, I want to try to get in something like an ultra, like a tope.
Those are fantastic. Rich, just a real question. So you had your Achilles flare up at Deka Worlds.
Plantaris, gone.
Okay. No more issues with that?
Well, it's gone.
Okay. Oh, literally no, it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, you're right. How much do you think wearing super shoes frequently impacted that heading into it?
Into that one in particular, I don't know. That was just such a mess. I was like sick, and I was taking all this medicine, and just like hadn't been training a bunch. I think there is something like a combination of super shoes and like curved treadmill. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think the curved treadmill probably has more to do with it than the super shoes themselves. Because you're still taking on impact with the super shoe. It doesn't take away everything. But on a curved treadmill, no impact. That's like cycling.
Yeah. Super shoes are interesting because they can just limit injuries and they can cause injuries. Like they're the people that just get injured in their lower rear chain because of super shoes. Like Galen Rupp, they got him an Olympic medal in the marathon and they ruined his Achilles and calf.
Yeah.
That's what they do to some people.
And do you think that's why it's just you're not building the strength that you would typically use while running in something that does make you take on a little bit more impact, a little bit more lower drop? Yeah.
Yeah. And they force you to run a certain way. It is still a jarring impact because you don't flex the way you normally flex. And we don't need to go down the rabbit hole, but Jack, I think that was the right question. I think super shoes can cause that Achilles calf area injury in a lot of people.
Yeah, because I'm not the shoe guy, and you guys definitely all questions go to you when it involves shoes. But we've heard so many times, John Albin, I thought he mentioned it on Running Public. He's like, I try to wear super shoes as often as possible because it gives me my most perfect stride, which is what I want to be using during race day. So I don't want to mess around with that. So he uses them frequently. Doesn't really get hurt. He had that toe issue for a while, got that cleaned up, but he's pretty healthy in general, and he does a lot of cross training in the off season. But it just kind of came to mind where it's like, are people who wear super shoes more frequently more prone to that? And you sometimes see people wear VJ shoes. They'll wear them on the treadmill, they'll use them on flats, they'll use them on the trail, like they'll just use them no matter what. And it's like, is there a certain point where the exact purpose of the shoes is actually doing more harm than good if you do it too often?
All shoes are like wildlife in Australia. Like eventually they're going to hurt you. That's just the way it works. You run a minimal too long, you get hurt. You run in super shoes too long, you get hurt. Right. It's about balancing the stresses. And John's actually a good example because John, anytime he's running flat or fast, he's in super shoes. But like 10 hours a week, he's in the mountains.
Right. Like how often is
not
it?
in so right. So it's 100% of his flat running, which is like 10% of his time. So he kind of balances it perfectly.
His percent load in super shoes is low compared to his weekly.
It's like when you put on the racing flats or put on the spikes on the track, you know, when you do his track workouts back in the day. A lot of times.
Or Ryker yesterday.
Ryker's just loaded up on spikes. That workout seemed pretty nasty.
That
he might go under 2. What do you think?
Workout. He's going sub 2.
Definitely. I don't think he's going sub 2 in his first one. Just based, not Nick, not based off his potential.
Bitch.
Based off the workout. He was running 60 point all the way through a 59 point.
He went 74.8. So he averaged sub 60 and then held on for another 100 for his 500. And then was basically on the dot.
And then he went 60 flat.
Yeah.
And then he closed sub 60. So 59, 59, and a 60. That's 59 high, 60 low. Anyway, my point is to run sub 2, to run 30 or 29.9 all the way around every 200, you got to be able to run 27s in training.
BK, anybody that's like nearing that 2 flat, it's like on BK's corner and he's rooting against it.
I'm actually, Nick and I were chatting yesterday. I'm pumped for him, but to see that, you got to come through in 57, 58 through the 400 and that 500. So, I mean, think the difference between coming through in 59 high and hanging on for 100 and hanging on for 400 is just like a world of difference. So maybe he can't, with a group is also the other key, right? He's going to be in a pack. Maybe he can do it, but the first one you usually miss, and then the second one you get it.
Right now, Nick's showing off to a bunch of like 11-year-olds at school. Like, look how fast I am.
That is just like his career is now a Sunday sprint at a Spartan race, just like just crushing it to people that just have no reference.
Isn't that what
He'll
it
break
was before?
his second race, but the fact that he's lining up for an 800, that deserves a win. That right there, Ryker, that's not easy to do.
Nick Ryker's breaking 2 on his first try. I believe in this guy. Brakken, if you do after like no training, I know yours is like a 760 meter weird loop in a neighborhood. Like Nick Ryker in spikes on a track, he's already accustomed. He's getting used to wearing spikes. I think if he just dropped into the race, hadn't worn spikes, and he just goes for it, that's where it's damaged. But I think he's getting more used to it. And we used to be like that in track. We could wear spikes 2-3 times a week and just be fine. But what's
more likely that he runs 30.2 and ends up at 2 flat and change for each 200, or that he goes out in like 55 and comes back in like 67?
Nick Ryker's a wild card.
He's going to go
out fast.
He's going to go 27 high, 28 low, and then 30, and then 32, and then 30. That's how these things go your first time until you feel it.
Although, to be honest, we used to think Nick is like the guy who just go to the front no matter what. And then he got more intelligent with his racing style. And he had a hell of a season last year with Deka because he reeled it in a little bit. I don't know. I think he might need to go back to his old tactics if this 800 is going to work out.
So 800 can't be aggressive.
So our A block wasn't scheduled for Nick Ryker projection 800, but that'll lead us directly into DEKAFIT. We had a DEKAFIT happening first one of the season in Knoxville,
Rich
Tennessee.
Is like, we're done with this.
We've talked about this for like 4.5.
Rich is mad that Nick's running faster 400 than him. That's what this comes down to.
400s are hard. He's a young man.
Nick's about to do 2 400s in a row without stopping faster than Rich can do 1.
That's false. Fine. That's
second time through he will.
That's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. In Knoxville, we saw the defending world champion open up. Morgan Schulz runs a 35.58. Samantha Wood is second, 39.04. And Megan, Gajay, 41.47 for the top 3. Morgan's time is 2 minutes and change slower than what she ran in Dallas. Then on the men's side, Colin Stiefert is in great form. He runs 30.34. Joe Cotto, who we saw do real well last season, he was in
he beat Colin by 5 seconds at Worlds.
At Worlds, right.
From Heat 2. So they didn't really get to go head to head, but they were definitely close.
But is his time always like 31.20s?
No. Joe Cotto went like 30.30.
Did he?
Yeah, he's much
legit.
faster than that in his career.
He's legit.
Yeah.
Derek York was out there doing his thing, 32.12, going out
leading the pack.
Going out hot. But 32.12 is pretty good for a debut. He must be in good form.
Did you guys watch it yet?
I've not watched it.
And did he lead?
Yes.
It's all clips. Yes, he was definitely
for a little while. And then Colin's like, I'm a better rower. And,
but he was around. Derek was around. Yeah. Even at the bike. At the bike, it looked like Colin, Joe, and Derek were pretty close. Like within
you watch the end
10
splits,
seconds.
You watch the end splits and like ball over. Everyone's doing it in like 103, 104. York was like 126. And then sled, he was 20 seconds. So definitely the hot pace got the best of him, but he held on
125 on the bike. Yeah.
Yeah.
The balls are the farmer's carry of Deka.
I'd say the farmer's carry.
No one targets it.
Deka.
and then you get in and you're like, holy crap, how did I crumble here of all places?
Yeah, that's
the
when
race
you know.
gets you.
That's when you know. Like if that gets creeping up over 70 seconds on the elite side, that's like you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done. But Colin finished really strong at 65 seconds on that bike. So you figure 50, 55, 58.
Yeah.
When sitting on the bike, which is rock solid. So that would probably be around 83 to 85 RPMs.
Whole time, yeah.
I think so.
Nope. No, thank you.
And then his tank was fast. They still have it on here, tank. But is that thing called a tank, the Z-Bex? Or is it like a what's a synonym for tank? What is another name for a tank?
Jack Bauer.
Oh yeah.
Bauer.
Yeah.
There's some sort of style tank. They're like, no, it's not a ripoff of it. It's just the German word for tank.
So
and then
sled.
Yeah. And his dead balls were 62. So he had a good finish, right? Like Colin seemed to be locked in on his
race. They were basically tied heading into air bike. And then he put 45 seconds to a minute on him in the second half. And it was definitely closer than you'd think for the first 20 minutes of the race.
The men's race had some depth. Austin Tenelshoff was in fourth, who's a monster on machines, 32:30. Joshua Gonzalez, who's won a few Dekas, right? He probably has at least 2 wins.
I think he has 4 podiums last year.
Robert Killian, former Spartan race world champion, was in 6th, and Paul Fitzpatrick in 7th, Chaz Hatton in 8th. So this is depth all the way across. Paul Fitzpatrick and Austin, they're actually partners when it comes to
really good combo.
Really good combo. Paul's a really good runner. He ran like 60 flat-ish, I think, in Chicago for Open. Yeah. So, which is solid. I mean, if you're doing all that stuff in 60 minutes, no matter what, that's really, really good. And I think he was the top Open athlete that race.
Yeah. I think he's like a 16 low 5K guy currently. So
really good turnout on this end.
I just want to say that in the most race in Chicago, there were 2 people sub 60.
There were?
Yeah.
Who?
We had what's his name? Miller. Dawson Miller. Was 58, I want to say.
Miller. Okay.
And then one other dude. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Maybe it was Paul.
Fact check me.
Oh. I'm going
Dawson
to.
Miller's a national champ steeplechaser from UW Whitewater, alumnus, along with your boy. So
holler.
Gotta stay on that radar.
Better know it. So he's in.
Was that the guy we met in line?
Yes. So Paul, like I said, was the first one across the line, 59.48, and then Dawson was 59.53. So there were 2. So you were right, but also wrong.
I wasn't wrong. I just said there were 2 sub.
You were right, but so was I. On the women's side, not as much depth coming out to this race. Tara was on the list.
You said she's dealing with an injury, you thought, ahead of time, and then
I believe she's having some sort of issue in her knee that she had at Worlds for Deka and was able to perform really well with it, but I think she's taking the time now with this season. I don't know exactly what her
fit in March.
No, and I don't know what exactly her Hyrox plans are. So there's got to be a time to take down, right? And I think she's just making that decision now, which is smart. And so Morgan was basically alone by herself.
She basically got to lunges 7-8 seconds ahead of the field. It wasn't even a contest right from the start. Yeah.
So being at this type of form, and I think her first race last year was 36 and change. So she's ahead of where she was for the previous season. And that's the thing with this. I feel like, okay, what do you think about this? If you have time, say 4 to 6 months for training for a Hyrox, I feel like you can show up and perform better than where you ended the previous season. Or in Deka, I don't know if it's like that. I feel like Deka is much more like an 800 or a mile or a 5K, where it's like there's this like feeling that is really hard to get to. There's a sharpness that you need. So I think of Deka a lot more like tracks. Like, where were you last year at this time? And then kind of projecting forward.
It's kind of like you suck in April, but if you're good in late May, early June, that's just what it takes. You have to run a few races to get familiar with that feeling. And no matter how fit you think you are, I guarantee you that, you run a few of these races and you're just going to get so much sharper from just remembering what it feels like. And Hyrox is that grind. It's twice the duration basically for a lot of these athletes. So you can kind of fake your way through it. or not fake your way through it, but grind your way through it.
You don't pop the same, like you can pop, but like if you are physically prepared, like muscularly and pace it appropriately, you're not getting all the way up. Most athletes are not getting all the way up to like their anaerobic threshold and going beyond. Where in Deka, you are.
What's the variance you specifically, as someone who's gone sub 29, like, and you've also had times in the 30s, like what's your variance through the years within a season?
So my process is to come into a Deka underprepared but overconfident, and then just blow to pieces, and then just die as hard as I can, and then be like, oh, okay, I need to be a little bit more prepared for this. So, but you can drop time.
Rich is like, I want to get 10th seed where they're allowing 10 people in the heat. That's what you like doing.
I like being the underdog here.
I think the track analogy is right on with this, because just like that, there are some athletes who can run really quick indoor off strength training, off mileage. You know, we've seen this with Dylan. Dylan ran a great Deka in the midst of Hyrox training. And then there are people like Rich who needs to train Deka to run Deka.
Mm-hmm.
And some people need to feel the sting once or twice. Some people come in and like, wow, I just ran a really fast mile off cross country training. It doesn't make it, just the type of athlete you are. And Morgan's been doing a lot of Hyrox.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, she's done well at Hyrox. It's hard to transition down sometimes. She also didn't have competition. So there's just, I think that there's Hyrox, you come in and you pretty much know what you can run. Deka, you come in and you're like, I don't really know exactly what could happen, but that let's match what I did last April is the right mentality.
So I'm not sure. I'm something's in my head, and I'm not exactly sure if this is going to make any sense. So Morgan is middle distance, right? She is a middle distance athlete, 800. You know, she could probably go up 15. She probably run a good 4. And I would kind of put myself in that bucket as well, just where I'm predisposed to be. Or on the other end, Dylan, he's like a half marathoner. You know, there's no distance on the track that is long enough for him, right? So do you think that an athlete who is more predisposed to strength endurance can perform better off of that in a lower event, where someone in the shorter events needs to be feeling fast to perform well? You know what I'm saying?
I look at it, I get what you're saying, but I look
Like
at it, Lauren Weeks, for instance, she definitely leans more on the strength endurance. Like with Hyrox, she has great success there, but she hasn't always figured out Deka. Like she's had success for sure, and she did have a toe injury during that Worlds. Never mind, so I might take that back.
I would put Lauren in like more of a middle distance category. How well she does in these events that, like, right now she's 20th in North America West Regional in 2 events that were 8 minutes to 20 minutes, right? Like in that shorter, like she has the ability to go to spice, right? Like, and I bet she on a track, I don't know, like if she ran track, you think she would be an 800 runner or a 5K runner?
Yeah, to me, she's an 800 runner who has figured out how to run distance. Even though you look at someone's stride and you can tell kind of what they're made to do. She's made to rev. Mm-hmm. Like Meg can run middle distance, but Meg's a metronome runner.
Mm-hmm. So Lauren's had a harder time in Deka, right? Like
right.
When we've seen her struggle,
she's still won several races. It's not like she's had a bad time, but you know, she built different, but she like we've seen her fall apart in Deka before, right?
But either way, I think you see 800 guys run great miles and 3Ks off cross country training, but not great 800s. You see 10K guys pop a great mile off base training, but they're not gonna, you know, it seems the line seems to be very, very sharp with people where you drop off when it becomes highly anaerobic, and knowing where your line is kind of funky, because one step over and you're screwed. Where Hyrox, you have time to bring it back on a run.
Mm-hmm.
Deka, you start dying and then you're going to die worse, or you're going to die a little slower, but that's it. Like once you start the death cycle, you die.
And maybe athletes that do have the bigger aerobic capacity can handle the high end and stepping over and then recover, where if like you're really more predisposed to be like, if you're putting out a ton of lactate because you are powerful, trying to clear all that is probably just more difficult. where like you're probably not, if you're on the slower twitch end, you're probably not producing as much and you're probably able to recover a little bit better. I don't know.
Also, machines matter in Deka, the placement, in terms of, like, we're getting too far into the weeds, but like Dylan can put out high end on a machine without being super anaerobic.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, let's say you, Rich, if you wanted to match his rowing, it'd be pretty anaerobic for you. So early into a race, you're rowing and dipping into your stores earlier than he is at the same pace. Whereas maybe on lunges or farmer's carry or burpees or something like that, you're going to be a little bit quicker through the reps on those naturally. Where on a machine, he can spool it up high and aerobic. And so that plays with things too in Deka.
Right.
SkiErg
like it's way higher.
First.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that order matters there. Yeah. I think that in Deka, a lot of people, no matter what type of sharpness you're in, you can fake your way to the air bike, but like the specificity will 100% be revealed if you were actually ready for that or not during the race. And at Hyrox, it's more like, oh, did the sleds get you or not? You know, very quickly, but you can sort of fake yourself and be like, yeah, I think I'm doing great. And then 18 minutes in the race or whatever, you're like, okay, these last 12 minutes now. they're gonna be rough.
I've been on the farm, like that's when I know my race is a disaster in Deka, is at farmers. I'm looking backwards and being like, oh man, those people are definitely going to catch me.
And you have air bike to go right
yeah. If I get to air bike feeling okay, it's like, all right, this is going to go well. But if I pick up those dumbbells, I'm like trying to recover on the dumbbells, problem. They introduced new movement standards. This is something that we've talked about before. In 2 spots in particular, they are implementing the Jack Bauer method of lunges, going as slow as possible, making sure the reps are as good as they can be. But the standard, I believe there's some sort of line that your both feet have to start in front of.
Heels on the line. You have to do your reverse lunge behind that. Just make sure your knee taps, but your heels have to be in. So your entire foot is in front of that line the whole time.
And then do the feet have to come together, or are we allowed to jump?
I think you can do whatever you want. I was seeing people come together. So the interesting thing is, what was it before? What were you, 36 to 38 seconds? You'd say almost everybody in the field was that at like the high level races. Like if you're going 40 seconds.
40 under 48.
Yeah. There was one person under 42 seconds, Kevin Gregory, which makes sense. And he kind of came in a little bit late into but he came into it a little bit late because he took most of the runs pretty easy and hammered the machines. But almost everybody, Colin, Joseph Cotto, Joshua Gonzalez, Killian, they're all in that like 44 to 46 second range, which is showing.
Yeah, Morgan was 44.
Difference.
Yeah. I think it's actually going to change a lot as the season goes on. And I think there's a reason Gregory did well on that. I think Kevin probably had the most practice with the line. He's pretty dialed into the community. He probably knew what was coming. If you do a workout and you set it up at a place that's not your own, and there is just something that you're trying to hit in place, your movement slows so much by having to focus on getting your foot to a place where you're not used to putting it. So this could be the kind of thing that like 3 practice sessions and people dropped 5 seconds on the lunges. I don't think, now I could be wrong, but I don't think the movement standards by the time we get to Worlds are going to have more than like a 1 or 2 second difference from last year. But up front, there's going to be a learning process for people.
Is it? Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, I was just going to say, I tend to agree with that, but I think optically it looked better. And that's the most important thing.
Is the standard just the feet, or is it still like hips, like wanting hips open? Or are we just looking at feet?
I think it's just return to the line, and if you want to burn yourself out and try to save those couple seconds, you're freely available to do it. That's what it sounded like. Because
the previous one was like they wanted us open at the hips, but a backloaded lunge where everyone's like their torso's a little bit tilted forward, really hard to see where if they were open or not, and most looks like they were not. So I'm not sure if they were just getting rid of that and keeping it just as long as your feet are here, then do whatever you want in terms of the actual like extension of the hips, which I think is fine, but it does look a little funny. But I don't know. I don't know if that is the standard or not.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the standard on their website right now. It has a rules update. So zone 1, start standing with both feet in front of the rep line, which is that orange or red line that they had right there, and weight in the back or a single shoulder rack position. Step straight back and make knee contact with the ground. Finish rep by bringing back foot in front of the rep line. Rep is counted once the competitor reaches knee extension and both feet are
Knee
in front
extension.
of the rep line. Knee, not
Okay.
hip.
So you can't just be like bent at your knee doing like kind of crouched lunges, but you can be tipped forward and your hips could be
Believe so.
closed. Okay.
That's how I'm interpreting it right there.
Okay. So
and
that's
that's
going
going to mess with the cadence of the knee extension, getting over the line and thinking. I think there's a thinking going on in that station in this first race where there's not
slow
in
you.
the past.
It'll slow you down. It'll slow you down.
But people they'll get that muscle memory down.
We're going to have like one of those contraptions for like your bike. If you're measuring your bike size that like kind of opens and closes the ankle, the judge is going to sit there with that, just like seeing if you're open or not. Other standard change. Go ahead, Jay. Got something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, just look at how people adapt as they get more practice with stuff. We saw Hyrox, and we thought 60 minutes when it first came to the U.S. Like no one's ever gonna break that. Like look how 100
BK thought
do it in his first race. Yeah, BK.
I knew I was gonna.
Everyone thought they could, but no one did. And then just a little bit more familiarity with the order and the proper form and stuff. And then suddenly you need that if you want to be anybody. And I did just think a little bit more practice with Zone 1 and a couple of these other new standards in DEKA. That gap between what we're used to and what we're now seeing is definitely going to shrink.
Other movement standard change or the ram burpees where it needs to be full extension up over the head. So elbow lockout, I believe it is. That looks so much better. I saw Colin doing the reps. I was like, oh, this looks like an actual rep. This looks like what a fitness sport should look like. None of that silly crouch thing. People going down before the rams coming down. Like just the gamification that happened on those ram burpees was insane. Yeah. And now it's like stand up with it and put it up over your head. Old school stadium.
A real burpee.
Stadium style.
That's right.
Now, I will say, just watching the live coverage, Brakken, you saw it, right?
I didn't watch the coverage.
Okay. There was a little
USA's to watch.
Oh, yeah. Which was
NCAA's.
NCAA's. I'm still on Worlds Indoor. No spoilers.
Okay.
I watched everything live for the last 2 weeks. I've had no life. My kids haven't seen me.
I'm so jealous.
You have it on a screen right now.
Do that.
But there was a little bit of fudging with the bend down and crunch, like you were just talking about. Like
can you be bent and have your elbows extended? Like again, is it hips? Are we not worried about hips here as well?
I will read the rule of the land for this one. Bottom of rep, chest or abdomen must touch the weight. Feet/legs must be extended out behind the competitor so that full knee/hip extension is achieved. Must stand tall at completion of rep.
Okay. So that should be a no rep.
With full hip and knee extension and the weight pressed above the head with full elbow extension. So that sounds like lockout, stand up vertically. Hip
they should make him actually jump like a real burpee. Jump with that ram.
With a 55, yeah.
There's one place
44.
for fudging, and this is back to stadium days.
22.
Full lockout and vertical stand can look like this, or it can look like this.
Yeah.
And so you can be locked out facing forward, and that's where people will start fudging that. Oh, if we're not allowed to duck, well, I locked out here, and I stopped the travel to here.
Overhead lockout.
And like in CrossFit,
it's over your head.
You have to see the ears.
And your elbows are locked out.
You have to see the ears or something.
Yeah, head through.
Yeah.
Like
so they'll have to add ear verbiage in there. But then you'll see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's what happens in thrusters. Is like people jabbing their head through.
But even that's so much better than I get it to here and I just duck under.
No, that's so bad. And it looked good. It looked good, right? Like when Colin was doing, like, okay, he looks like an athlete.
Yeah, but realistically, if you look at early December, so we've got about 4-month window since World Championships and then the first race of the 2024 season. I don't think you could pick it apart really. These new burpees, they were so much better, and there was some controversy at World Champs. It's like that was pretty sloppy. Like I don't know that, and I was genuinely happy with how these looked for 99% of the reps.
So we don't know when the season is going to end for DEKA. We don't have any type of, like, I've been feeling, a lot of people have been asking me, like, hey, what's up with DEKA? A lot of people asking me, one at least.
The streets are talking.
A lot of people.
They're like, hey, what's up with DEKA this year? What are you gonna be down for World Championships? Like, I don't know where they are. I don't know where they are. I don't know what's at stake. They're still paying out for these individual races.
Yeah. Top 3.
That's
great. Looks like they kind of did the Hyrox flag for the
I like
instead of
that.
the ram.
I bet that there was a ram involved as well. I hope it was just
That would look
ram
nice right above your left shoulder.
You go right there. I think so.
Yeah,
I
balance out that Hyrox.
I do need a flag there. They don't give flags for the Elite 15. It's some bullshit. Just a bunch of money.
Really?
I want a flag.
I want a flag.
Got to run doubles to get that type of swag.
That's true. That's true. I got some relay ones over here that need to go up. But we don't know where that is. We don't have, but when we will do some kind of DEKA preview, it's just kind of like the kickoff. I was looking at the schedule. It's heavy Spain, same kind of races in the United States, but we don't know where the world championships are this year.
We have like a track record that it's usually, mid-September when the season ends, which is what it's looking like again. And
so we can expect November, December.
Probably Thanksgiving plus or minus a couple weeks. That's usually what it seems like.
Yes.
Yeah. Real quick about the burpees, just before we move on from that. Did you see the splits?
Some. I mean, they're slower for sure.
Minute 16 for Colin Stiefer.
Yeah, minute 35.
That was the fastest
Joe.
on the men's side. Morgan Schultz, minute 36. Almost every woman on the podium was 131 or slower. Joshua Gonzalez and Colin Stiefer were the only guys under 123. So it's slowing it down. You're not fudging the reps. And I think that changes the game right there a ton. I'm happy with the progress in this first race.
We're gonna have legacy world records now.
I know. So Morgan
like
ran
old javelin, new javelin for track.
Yeah.
So Morgan was 69 again, an urgent 69 for at Worlds. So she's about 20 seconds slower, and let's just say, I mean, Rylan was winning by quite a bit. He was about 70. But we've seen athletes around. I think Magida was closer to 60. He was 56.
He's a maniac in those, yeah.
Depending on the athlete, it's going to be a half second to 1 second per rep.
Mm-hmm.
Difference, yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard to cultivate the momentum that some of those people could get cranking when you can't rush up and down.
Right.
Now you need to be strong. Do you want fast reps?
A little more explosive, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to need to be better at hang clean and power clean for this. Probably hang clean.
Yeah, either one. Okay, cool. So that's DEKA right now, opening up the season. We'll do a bit more of a preview when we'll have some more time to kill here.
How do you think this is going to affect qualifying times? Because it is a time-based qualification system for if it's top 20 again. That's what it was last year. Like, everyone across the board is going to be slower, or is this going to favor people who are a little bit stronger, like you were getting at, Brakken? Like, because we saw a bunch of people miss it only by like 10, 15 seconds last year on both genders.
I think it's a 10-second swing minimum between a power athlete and a runner when you get to this, and it could be more. So the people that were on the cusp, the power athletes now are going to be the ones that make it, and the runners are going to be the ones that just miss unless they up their game. That's my feeling right now, but it's early.
Which is fair for hybrid racing.
Yeah.
I think that should generally be the case.
The running already has such a huge place in the race.
All right. Let's what do we want to talk about next? We can talk about CrossFit for a little bit. I got this hybrid racing leaderboard up here.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll go over the OCR stuff that's happened recently.
We can go over some OCR stuff. You guys locked in to the Open? What's going on? Where are you guys at?
Miriam's crushing it.
Check.
I think she's still in 5th.
She is in the top. Yes, I'll pull up the leaderboard for everybody.
We doing a share screen for the YouTube viewers?
For the YouTubers.
It's just bad timing. We've had World Indoor Championships and NCAA Indoors right at the time where I'm supposed to care about a qualifying round for CrossFit. Push comes to shove, running's winning out for me.
This isn't really something to follow. I wouldn't say the Open. It's just
all you need to do is get in the top 25%. Like, it
prelims.
Doesn't matter.
No one's not qualifying through. No one's not qualifying. But yeah, you can see our own. We're claiming her. Miriam Van Roer, 5th overall.
She's only 22.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. And she's had like a pretty good career across the board. I mean, finish in this last one, which was 20-minute AMRAP, 300-meter row, 10 deadlifts, 50 dubs. For her to get 37th in the world after getting first in that one that was basically teed up for an athlete of her stature, It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So she's doing real well.
I saw Lauren Tia Claire Toomey right there in 12th, but I saw Lauren beat Tia or was tied with her in event 1, I thought.
I haven't seen her on the worldwide board. We're looking for her right now.
Use that search bar.
That's a top 50. But she, like I said, she's
4, I think she's like 150th.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I thought I did a look for 150th, 160th, but Lauren Weeks 157 right there.
Tied with Turi Helgadottir, who is a games athlete.
Yeah.
Bethany Flores is a games athlete. Lauren Stallwood, we saw her at she is a battle bunker athlete. So let's see. Let's look at the hybrid racers. This is just fun for us. I got our own little leaderboard up here. Yeah. Okay. Gave a shout out to I put it out there. If people want to get on this, shoot me a DM. Yeah, Bo Wells is nasty at CrossFit.
Well, go back to the other one. I think I've got someone you should add. Did you add Isaiah?
He's not ours.
Okay, he's on page 1 of the worldwide leaderboard.
I saw. I think he's 11th or something like that.
I understand you not claiming him, but he's done OCR, short course through ultra, and he's done hybrid. He's as us as it gets.
Yeah. I know it's like past 4 or 5 years, it hasn't really been him. I thought he was sitting around high 40s.
Oh, he was top 20 in the region.
Great first event for him.
Great first event for him. Burpees.
Isaiah Vidal right there, 48.
But he's still 40. I mean, he did better in the second event, the 20-minute.
That's true.
He didn't. Wow, he did not as well in the first event as I would have expected involving burpees.
Handy validation.
Where's he living?
Mexico City.
So he's at 7,500 feet.
He's probably
doing. So he's doing these workouts.
I think so, and which is ridiculous.
That matters.
He's living in Mexico City currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some beasts around here like Alex Catulas,
2 ahead of him.
Justin Medeiros, Guy Malheiros. He is like this dude just like wins every lifting event. Luis Ascamora. These are Ben Gerard. Not clean, but he's cool. It's up there.
I think that you could slap that term on.
But he's been caught.
Everyone here portion of the leaderboard.
He got
and
caught.
It would be wrong more than it's or be right more than it's wrong.
But he got caught. Dude, I got to give myself a quick shout out here. My guy, Tudor Magda, been writing his running programming.
Really?
Wins an open workout. All engine based.
Got over 1,000 reps on that one.
Only member of the Grand Club.
Damn.
Young dude his dubs are kind of crazy, but engine built up.
So how do you get involved with him?
Just kind of like connections from people knowing people, and just kind of connected with his coach.
CrossFit Omnia, they knew that was a legit gym, and then they're like, oh, there's a guy here who.
It was kind of more through hybrid stuff. Like guy I know does hybrid, who's kind of plugged in with CrossFit. This guy's coach needed some running guidance.
That's awesome. I
was like, got you, man. You need to you'll win an open workout because that wins money.
10, 200. Is he a giant in CrossFit?
He had the highest snatch last year at the snatch event at semis. He didn't qualify for the games. He was just outside of it, but I think he was like 315 to 325. Like it was like a run into a max snatch, and he had the highest one out of every region. So he's a monster.
I think Brakken was talking about his height, 5'10". But yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah, he's the Wemby of CrossFit.
How tall is Vellner? He's right behind him, right there in 8th.
Let's see.
I thought he was about the same. Yeah, 5'11".
5'11".
Okay.
I'll believe it when I stand.
And he has long arms, but he's limited, and like he has events that just aren't good for him because he has like these big monkey arms.
Ricky Gerard.
Does he count as ours? He did a race. He's 30.
He's allowed to compete.
He was gone for a while.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, he got
he's been back 2 years.
Second last year.
He got, I think, third 2 years ago.
Third, okay.
And he hurt himself mountain biking
thing or something.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's like, dude,
at least his judge was related to him.
I mean, that was the guy who was like not clean. It's his brother.
Yeah.
Got popped together. So that's fun stuff.
No, yeah, go back to the leaderboard. Sorry for derailing that. It was mainly just.
Yeah, I should add Isaiah. You're right. I will. Fine.
But Keith Hardwick.
Keith Hardwick's a beast.
Heck yeah.
Interrupting with breaking news. I'm going to shams with this. Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
To the Ravens, really? Gus Edwards left.
How come I can't?
Yes, AIAH.
How do you spell his name? I always screw it up.
Yeah, he has 2 A's, like AIA.
AIAH.
Yep.
What do you guys think about Saquon?
I mean, it impacts you more. You seem to be happy with it.
What do you think about Josh Jacobs?
Green Bay, right?
Yeah.
How about Antonio Gibson
to the Pats?
Yeah, went from Washington to Patriots. Yeah.
That's not bad. He's like a weapon.
Yeah. I didn't realize he wanted to never make the playoffs again.
Well, he's not going to make him sitting in Washington.
Max gone.
Yeah. Anthony Percy. Sorry.
Sorry. Let me slow down here.
Yeah.
So it's mixed gender.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, Keith Hardwick. He's about. I think he's knocking on the door 62 in a Hyrox, and he swept. He was like just outside of the elite field for Deka in like everything last year. I'm pretty sure he swept the age group. Yeah. I think he was triple crown.
Kind of like Chaz Hatton. It's like he could easily be there, but he just missed because it's time-based qualifying.
Just missed. Yeah.
But his performance head-to-head against people was better than his seat time would indicate.
I didn't realize he was such a monster. Jake Gibbs actually redid this. That's funny.
Yeah, 900 reps on 24 too.
Yeah,
that's some grip strength right
10
there.
10 plus. That's what went on me is my stupid grip. I haven't heard that being an issue for anybody else. Like the deadlifts actually ended up being the separator, where it's just like, oh, it's just like a weight that's not heavy. It was like 185, 125. It's like, but I split them up, and I still blew up my stupid grip. I was feeling good, but grip was no good.
So my guess for the rowing pace is probably 2K plus 12 to 15 seconds. Is that about where you're hitting?
I was plus like I was rowing about 148, 149. Okay. Yeah, and
so plus 10. I'd probably do like 152, 150. Like that's probably what I would have shot for. So.
Yeah, there's enough pulling that your hands will go.
I know, and like just
unders,
just grabbing onto something the whole time, and it did. I was annoyed.
Compromised jump roping is surprisingly tough on your forearms. That's the first time that phrase has ever been said.
Compromised jump rope.
Coin it. We have compromised running already in there. Mods in there. We're adding compromised jump roping.
It exists, VJ.
It's a real thing.
It believes in you.
Dude, powerlift Nick Colleen, he's a beast. Look at this.
Dang.
This happened for both the workouts, the snatches and burpees. BK, you'd probably be good at that one.
At what?
It was 21 dumbbell snatches, 21 burpees over the dumbbell.
Right. Which part do you think I'd be good at?
The burpees.
Why? What makes you think I'm good at burpees?
You're not? Because you got
the Spartan Combine.
You got a big ass bench press, and you're explosive. And dumbbells, that's not that heavy for you. You'd be fine. I think you'd be good at that one. But in that workout, my freaking upper body blew up too. This CrossFit's too much upper body, bro.
Yeah.
My guy Anthony Parasini doing work.
Dang.
Again, though. Look, suspect judge.
That's a
Look at that profile picture.
Stud.
Businessman. Well, you know that every time he picks Lauren up at the airport, he wears like a tuxedo or something.
Tux.
Yeah. That's a guy who's about to talk to you about an MLM right there in that profile picture.
It's like, what if I had told you I have an opportunity, you never have to work another day in your life?
Lori, how many times have you guys got approached for stuff like that?
3 to 5.
It's about the same for me. I remember one time someone complimented Audrey's dress at the grocery store, and I'm like, Audrey, this is this is an MLM person. Don't buy into it. And she's like, but she likes my dress. And then 3 minutes later, we're just talking about something. I'm like, we gotta go. This is
really. Yeah. I got one at basketball the other morning, about 2 weeks ago.
What? Someone you were hooping with?
Yeah, in between, they were like, "So what do you do? I know you do the podcast thing, and what else?" And I
listen to the podcast. Which one?
No, they don't listen, but they are aware.
It's like that's some deep dive right there.
Did you tell them about Race Brain?
Yeah.
Is he aware?
They don't listen to anything Rich Ryan related.
No.
And then they said, "So like, are you like also? Is that all you're in on? Or are you like open to like passive streams of income?" So let me stop you right there.
You're like, I'm about to leave.
Yeah. Am I open to passive streams of income? Am I open to making money without working? I am.
Say more.
Am I open to MLMs? No.
Less.
Oh, no, this isn't that. Have you ever heard? Come on, man.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Rich Ryan's in the mix.
Laura
11th.
Winkleman, we just skipped over her.
Dude, I mentioned she's really good at CrossFit. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So her background must be CrossFit and then coming into hybrid. She did Go Ruck in DC.
And Deka Worlds. She did all 4 events, the 3 solo and then the ruck as well.
What's that name in number 9? What letter are we missing?
Some Irish guy. I don't know. I think that's how. What's the name that we had?
Wouldn't it be Paddle?
I think that's
T we're missing.
That's Yanka Popova there. Actually, it's misspelled.
Oh my God. No, Ifu. Remember that name?
I got a voice message just cackling about that because we mispronounced it so poorly.
We did.
The problem is getting a voice message from an Irish person doesn't help us.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear on the last live stream for Hyrox that like they did an interview with Graham, and he's Scottish?
Yeah, and they're like, you probably didn't understand most of that. But...
Kick back, and the guy's like, I'm going to translate this for everybody.
Yeah.
If I was Graham, I'd be offended.
Yeah.
E-Rock in the mix.
All right, Joe Roberto.
Dave Claxton's down here. He did this one, and then I'm guessing he doesn't know how to do double unders, so he just bailed. So which is just like his personal. So I'm guessing he won't ever want to see dubs in a hybrid event, but he'll see dumbbell snatches because he can do those. So
yeah,
come on, Dave, let's go get those dubs.
Dumbbells, yes. Barbells,
no.
Get out of town.
I can't do that. I don't want it. Dubs,
although
can't
I'm with
do that.
them.
Don't want it. Well, you guys are soft.
You could have done scaled. Single
Butter
unders.
soft. So that's fun. One more workout this Thursday will be announced. I'm guessing thrusters and chest to bar. My upper body will blow up for sure.
So basically, Fran.
They always have some sort of thruster pulling combo. There might be toes to bar instead. They haven't done anything like that. Some basic gymnastics combined with some sort of work capacity.
I'm thinking a 2-parter where it's like max deadlift plus it won't be deadlift, but they'll do something that goes more towards the strength.
The thing with this year in the Open is that they are accepting the top 25% to go into the quarterfinals. Last year was 10. So they had to weed out a bunch of people with their strength in the Open so that they get the right 10%. They'll do it next round. They'll bring more people in, collect more registrations. I'm in there. I'm definitely qualifying through the quarters. But
if they have a max snatch, suddenly you're not interested.
Maybe I'll register and just like I'm not going to do any of the workouts. I'm going to pull the old Dave Claxton. Right. I'm only going to do the ones that I think I can do well in.
Put it in your profile like quarterfinals athlete.
I say I won't.
I stumbled upon another Hyrox and Deka world champion this weekend.
You did?
Yeah. People that had a blue check mark on someone's comments. I'm like, all right, I always play the game. Is this real or not real? Blue check mark.
And it's like 2,000 followers. You're like, not real.
One was like 241. The other one was like 680. But one was a Hyrox world champ and one was a Deka world champ.
Dang.
Didn't say age group, but
there's a lot of
winner.
The name wasn't Rylan and the name wasn't Hunter.
There's a lot of world champions. There's a lot of world record holders out there available. So
it just seems compulsory that you add age group champion.
I think
you just put world champ. It doesn't diminish the title. It just clarifies it.
And they know, right? It's like they're just trying. They're
putting it on there for the strays who might believe it.
Yes,
which is deceptive.
Very.
No one accidentally wrote, "I'm a world champ" when I'm not.
Putting
age group,
right?
Like the Kona age group world champ is very prestigious.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Like you're the best non-pro in the world. That's so good.
I think that's how Hyrox is. Even qualifying for Hyrox Worlds in age group is difficult now. Yeah. And then to win, you're basically elite.
What do we always see? They win it, and then the next year they jump up and they're like a top 20 in the world athlete.
Yeah. That happens for sure.
We just mentioned Chaz Hatton and Keith Hardwick, like basically finishing around top 10 overall. Like when you factor in both events from the age group division at Deka Worlds last year, like they're good athletes.
Yeah,
I agree. So if that's you, stop it.
PSA, put your denominator
at
in
an
there.
asterisk.
It's clear. It's obvious that you're like lying, and it's gonna and you're gonna lose credibility. Everything else you say,
and there's no shame in it.
No, it's awesome.
People going for it. Like
the reduction from world champ to age group world champ is way less than the badness of putting world champ when you're not world champ. If that makes any amount of sense, it's way better to denominate it than to not.
And the world is just full of people trying to scam you into multi-level marketing and making you believe that they are something that they are not.
Are you into meeting world champs? Well, yeah, I am.
So just be yourself. This is like back to elementary school. Where are you? Is that often a message to the children? Be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You cannot let them affect you. Outside opinions don't matter in this household.
Nice. Clearly. What's that hoka you got behind you?
What'd you say?
What's that hoka?
Yeah.
That a spike?
Shendo
I know where this is
MD.
going.
That's a spike.
This is their most cushioned spike. It's like an old school racing flat with a spike plate.
Okay, you keep the spikes in on the wall. Good.
What do they call what do they call their foam? I don't know if it has a name. And I think they just call it like
light
PIBA. I don't even know if they have a name for it. They're not playing.
This is not PIBA.
It's not. It's just EVA.
It's light, it's squishy. It's advanced EVA, but it's I put on the Dragonflies, did some strides. I put on the Avanti, did some strides. They feel so good, and like I shouldn't be in these. I will break down. Put these on. I'm like, oh yeah, I can run in this.
Is it just not a spike then? Is it just like a regular shoe? Are you better off in?
It's a hybrid, basically. It's a spike with extra cush to it.
It's a cross-country
spike, basically, but for the track. They're great. I ran that indoor Ocho in them.
That's when I knew when someone lined up next to me in a mile in a cross-country spike. I'm like, this dude's in the dirt.
Yeah. Or he's about to run 410 off winter mileage.
They're better than basketball shoes, I guess.
Brakken, I saw you unveil a couple other shoes yesterday from VJ, brand new ones.
Yeah. Yeah, Max 2 in the light speed.
Yeah.
Oh, Max 2. Tell us about the light speed.
Oh, I should grab them for visuals, but instead,
some people watch this on YouTube. They want to see the visuals.
I'm just going to show you the S-Lab Pulsar.
You just happen to have that within arm's length. Right
That's
there.
not the shoe.
The wall.
That's not the shoe.
This is the S-Lab Pulsar.
I thought we were talking
if you've seen it from here down, you now know what the light speed is. They have the exact same cutout here. Light speeds is a little bit shorter. They have the same taper, the same last all the way around on the inside. I put them next to each other. They reside at the exact same height and they follow the exact same trajectory along. It's basically, I think Kirk or you, one of the two asked if I could make, there we go. Show that inside.
I don't like the way the inside looks.
Look at that. That's the same as this inside. Exact same.
It doesn't have that strap.
No, the midsole.
Oh, the midsole.
Midsole is the exact same.
It does kind of look the same.
It's not even kind of. When you put them
similar.
next to each other, they're twins. And not Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwartz style.
Yeah, not the ironic way.
So where the differences lie is obviously the butyl rubber bottom is significantly grippier on terrain.
Those lugs look pretty aggressive.
They're not huge. I would guess they're 4.5 mil.
Is that a good Seattle shoe? For if it's like a little sloppier, like a West.
Well,
Virginia,
here's the issue. First of all, this shoe already wants to roll laterally if you let it. You have to run the way this shoe wants to roll. VJ's has every bit as soft and responsive of foam as this has. Their new foam is really delightful.
Performance.
Brakken butchered that yesterday during your story.
Butchered it. I said it the way you'd expect to, and then said it the way they spelled it.
Performance.
Yeah.
Backtracked.
Get off me. That was intentional.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at the sidewalls of this one, I don't know how much you can see. The foam comes out slightly farther than the shoe itself.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this, I don't know if you can really see it, this reinforced part here that sits inside of the foam, slightly inset into it. On the light speed, it comes up flush with it. So the little bit of outward roll, which is what you get with new age foam, it's squishier, but as a result, it doesn't have the same firmness on the outside of it. So when the squish happens, it's easy to roll to the outside or inside if you're touching something. Their extra support there comes up flush with their performance. And so it has like an extra millimeter to the outside that your foot already is. So there's nothing under it if you start to squish into it. So it's a little less laterally stable than this shoe, which is already a little unstable. That being said, I ran an OCR in this and felt fine. But this shoe right here has me a little nervous for fast running through technical or ground I can't see. So I've got to test it. Today I ran it on soft, muddy grass. And it did fine.
I've got a question on running warehouse right there. How long is VJ shoes? How long have they been on there?
It's brand new.
Right here.
Brand new. Okay. So they're making waves if they're on
So anyway,
warehouse.
It feels like the
cool.
Pulsar beefed up a little bit. It feels fantastic. My only concern is a little bit of lateral stability, but it has a plate in there. It's a composite Y-shaped plate, and it feels like it would have rock protection, and the shoe feels a little bit snappy. I like it. It's instantly a contender for if I want to run fast on trails.
Which is a hole kind of that they've had in their game, right? Like,
yes.
So
this is their first trail running shoe.
Trail racing?
Racing, running, like it's made to run with your foot rather than it's made for gripping the ground.
Gotcha. And the Max 2s?
We can assume that the grip is going to be good just because of the...
And you like this foam? Is it PIBA?
It's an ETP.
EVA?
So it's not PIBA. It's supercritical EVA.
Okay.
Yeah,
which according,
on there.
I don't know if this is or isn't off the record. This shouldn't be. This is only a compliment. They went with supercritical EVA in order to extend shelf life. They said in the testing that they did, which they did foam testing, that's a huge step forward for VJ. They found that it's within like 1% or 2% of energy return, but it's like double the life expectancy.
That's fair.
Go with that then.
Energy return on trail
trails,
too. It's like,
yeah, you go with life expectancy on trails.
Yeah,
that's the problem with the Salomon Pulsar is that the foam's great, but it compresses really quick. In theory, this one's not going to compress as quick. So it's like the old Max completely got rebuilt. It has some of the same characteristics. It's still the upper's a little stiff around the collar. It's built up enough that you feel pretty secure around the heel. The foam itself is firm but soft. Like you get a bit of squish with it, but it doesn't deform like crazy around rocks. There's more movement in the upper. Like there's more lateral foot slide in there for me. So people
we're in the Max right now.
Yeah, people
which
who
I think that's
fit
okay
in the Max are going to fit better.
Yes, I felt the Max was a little bit restricting on the upper.
Not as much now.
I really don't like this. It seems like a flagship technology that they use. This fit lock. That's not my jam.
How's the
I
toolbox?
think it does what it's supposed to do.
Right, but it just the
What
on
I
foot
don't like
feel. I don't like it.
The attachment point, the 2 prongs, the one towards the middle, that can be an irritant.
Adds a bunch of weight too.
Yeah. It doesn't feel super light on your feet, but it doesn't feel heavy either. To me, this is hard, rocky, with some mud. Like this shoe is going to do it all. This replaces the Max, but with better grip. The lugs are better, significantly improved.
It's a good upgrade.
Yes, and the foam is significantly improved. Long-term durability and breakdown, I obviously can't speak to. I've done 10 800s in it. I mean, sorry, 4 800s in it today. 4 800s, but it feels fine. It's not quite as stiff, though. If you like the really firm, stiff, toe box is wider.
Oh, good.
Okay, that's good because I always got the pinky toe blister on the outside whenever I wore VJs.
Yeah, in the Max, I was like as snug as I'd want it to be, but I liked that. I don't have a wide foot. In this, I have a little more room than I'd want, but I think that'll help most people.
All right, there you go. Well, maybe we'll talk about shoes a little bit later as well, because that's how we roll.
The most I've ever contributed to a shoe talk.
Jack, nice job.
It pinched my pinky.
Three words. Yeah.
I don't like that. We had a Spartan race in Texas, Jack's old stomping grounds. Were you jealous? Were you FOMO?
I almost had a flight that would have had a layover there coming back from Dubai. And then I was like, nah, Ryan Kent's leaving. I got to get back to Colorado. So
had to send our guy off.
Had to send him off. And I think this could have been my first win.
Whoa.
That's
Feeling
shots.
fit, are you?
That's shots to Jonathan Stern taking the win on the.
I've run out that course 2 or 3 times. Also, I know what it's like.
That's a hour 46 beast. What's up with this? Is this like pancake flat? What's the deal with this beast?
Nick Mask would have won. But he
would have run like 110,
126 on some of these. So yeah, it's Houston. It's gonna be flat.
Jonathan Stern, who did well at Grit Games, is where he kind of came on.
No, he's a good athlete.
For sure. Kyle Sears was second. Sean Flannery was third. For the beast on the women's end, Camry Kingston took the win. Sheridan Sentinga was second, and Emily Kimball was third. They were right. Everybody was right around 210, 215. Then
quick course.
It's a pretty quick course. And then the beast competitive. The Sunday super competitive. It was. The Paul Massey took the win. Kyle Sears again on the podium. Shane Terry, who has been on the top of age group for a while. So
he went over to Abu Dhabi and did well, like in his age group. He's a solid competitor. Yeah,
so we're seeing athletes in the competitive, and that's what I like about this competitive field. It's just like, here you go. Wherever you end up. Wherever you end up, you got third, you belong. This is where you belong. Yeah. And same on the women's end. Vivian Tran took the win in 67, and she won her age group last year. So now it's like you're in this competitive field, and you can win these races. And Taylor Phoebus was second, and then Sheridan Sentinga ended up on the podium again. So we got some Spartan races happening out here. We didn't talk too much about the implications of the first race that happened in Jacksonville. We did talk about it, though.
We did talk about it.
We talked about it.
I don't think I talked about it because I wasn't there that week.
Oh, nice. Okay.
In Dubai. Yeah.
Well,
you got stuff to say?
Your takes have expired.
They've expired. It's a new month. Rich with the thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Right there. Yep.
It's on my to-do list is to get that taken down, but I just don't get it. I just don't get to it.
Yeah. We all like it. You can't stand it, but I don't think it works
me
pink.
Me. Like it never.
You're not iOS.
Work. Oh yeah,
oh my goodness,
you clowns! You
Brakken's team Google Pixel with me.
Let me see if I can get that double.
I'm on a Windows computer right now.
Yeah, damn right.
Because you can build it and you can customize.
Yeah.
Well, with an iOS, you can give a thumbs up in real life, and it gives a thumbs up on Zoom. So
sometimes try it.
I think there's a
refractory
period here.
Yeah.
Way too many thumbs up, and
they're like they can't be giving thumbs up like that. You need to chill. You get a warning.
Yeah.
So the next race in the national series is
mid-May.
Big Bear. Same weekend as the Last Chance qualifier, which we did get a couple from Hyrox. We did get some details about that. We'll start to see some names kind of rolling in, which will be exciting. So we will have an idea of who's racing what, and that they are going to stream those as well. Mm-hmm. I know this is not a Hyrox conversation, but that is exciting that we will be able to see
competition. Unfortunately, the same weekend because Big Bear it's a super, so it's going to be on Sunday, and Hyrox it was on a Friday for DC, and now it's going to be on a Sunday for Anaheim. It's like they've been on Fridays for Vienna, was it?
Yes.
Like I wish they just do it
whenever they grid. Whenever they grid it, it's going to be a different day.
I just really wish they'd do it Saturday. If they switch to Saturday, I'm booking a flight that moment.
To where? Anaheim?
Anaheim.
Jumping in that thing?
I'd rather do that than New York because New York's going to be outside. It's just Sunday is logistically really tough for me. Although shout out, it's Macaulay Crocker's birthday.
Which day?
So it's May 19th.
Nice, dude. All right. So probably always beautiful that.
I thought you were going to New York for Citi Field, not for Hyrox.
No, Hyrox.
Okay.
I got to get this 70 that besmirches my name off my resume.
Get it out of there.
Yeah.
Get it out.
Find embarrassing also.
Or I come out and run 72, and then I just know I'm that dude.
Just don't finish.
Yeah.
Just don't
finish.
Finish
I'll injure my plantaris. Something you can't prove. I'm going to injure that for sure if I'm on a 70-minute pace.
Rich knows
it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
Yeah, we never saw imaging.
Nope. I just took his word. I'm like, that sounds right.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. It disintegrated.
Yeah. But anyway, Big Bear.
I'm trying to find the results or like the standings of the series. I don't know how to do it.
Okay. So there is a new website. Seth Willits, he sent it to me at ocrpodium.com.
What? There's a new website.
Go on that.
OCR is
But we
alive.
can't find it on Spartan's website. Is that what we're saying?
It's a little confusing. I'm like,
so just work with me on this one. So OCRpodium.com.
Uh-huh.
And then you're on the homepage and scroll down to Spartan Recent, and it will have a picture of some guy running through the water, Jacksonville Sprint.
Uh-huh.
And then click on it, and it will have like a link to the race coverage by OCR report with the timestamps, and then results, and it says reveal, just in case you want, a little hidden info and stuff.
Oh, a little spoiler.
Yeah. So
okay, so the results themselves, that is enough for but like the scoring, right? How are we scoring?
It's going to be the same because it's only one race so far.
I know, but is it 100?
Oh, you're talking, is it 300, 264, or is it 199?
It'll be right there on Spartan's main page when you click on race results and leaderboards. Right?
That's what you'd say.
Easy peasy.
I'm there. I'm in North America. Then that's just like age group series.
Put in a ticket to Zendesk. Strap yourself in for 3 to 6 months.
That's how I want to spend my time. That's exactly how I want to spend my time.
National Series point structure on Zendesk. Oh, I remember this. 23, 21, 19, then 17, etc. Losing 1 point all the way down to 20th place.
Naturally.
23.
Because when you say 23 points, you say that's universal first place.
Yeah. So
Jordan.
23, 21, 19, 17, 16, 15, 14. So yeah, first 3 get a separation of 2.
Name a sport where if someone said, how'd you do? And you said, I got 23 points. They didn't immediately shout, congrats on the win, man.
Oh, so you dominated.
Yeah.
Oh,
Second place got 21 though.
Yeah.
21. Okay. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how people do kind of roll into the series. You're kind of, if you did not do Jacksonville, you're done for the series. Correct?
I don't necessarily think so. No, let's do some basic math on this. So
because there's no rule. You don't have to complete all 3.
You just need to have a point. But
so if no one from Jacksonville moves on, and does 3, if anyone from Jacksonville in the top 10 does all 3 and does top 10 in all of them, it's over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, if you win 2 races, you get 46 points. I'm just gonna assume Annie's world class anyway. Like, she's not gonna finish outside the top 5 at a national series race. She basically already has it locked up if she decides to finish. But on the men's side, it's wide open, and a lot of athletes are on the East Coast for Jacksonville, and they might not do as well at West Coast with travel, or just, more people might decide to do it. But if you can get 46 points, basically you need to average greater than 15 over the 3 races. So if someone wins 2 races, they get 46 points. So VJ decides to do it, Atkins, Rylands, if someone else decides to do that, they'll have 46 points. So you'd need to have 22 points left over. So if someone finishes outside the top 10 on these final 2, then they will not end up winning the series.
Okay.
You're not.
So it's not over, basically. But you can end it by going there and going top 10 2 more times.
Yes.
So the first time in history, 2 10th places couldn't matter in a positive way.
Rich Ryan got 2 10th places. Don't say it doesn't matter.
Come on, bro.
And did he win the series?
Got 10th.
He got 10th place.
Well,
it matters.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Show some respect on the name.
Come on, bro.
Listen, no one has watched Rich Ryan on screen in his long tights, top and bottom, than this man.
That was a mistake in Seattle.
You gotta stay warm.
It just kind of kept me cold.
Right up until you get wet.
Until you're wet, and then you're cold.
And then we saw some Alabama Rich Ryan and
was out there.
Leggings and no top.
I had man-prees.
Man-prees, that's
Tactical
what it is.
Capris.
I don't want to hurt my knees. OCR hurts my knees too much. So I like to have covered.
Just for the record, can we state pro tip hack for everyone out there who's getting done with these Olympus, which keep getting more slippery and steeper? Put some rock tape on the front of your knees, and now you're set. That's all you got to do. You don't have to wear pants. You don't have to decide, I have to turn sideways, side saddle. Just put rock tape on the front of your knees, problem solved.
I'm going reband.
You talking
reband
kneecap, upper shin, where?
No, you need it right on that knee
strip.
bump. Okay. Oshgood slaughter bump.
All right.
That's a major tip.
Game changer.
You teaching that at night school?
Life changer. Yeah.
That is the tip of the iceberg in night school.
That's
you
free.
mock all you want. This
I'm
is gonna
not.
be a
That's
good
a great
course, Rich.
That's a great idea. I'm jealous. I'm honestly
I'll
jealous.
comp you an entry.
I will decline.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't physically do that. I don't know.
I'm just showing up. Whenever you record, I'm gonna be at your house. I'm gonna be there taking notes.
Hello, Miss Lady.
I think that is a good idea. Everybody apply for night school. Is it an application?
No, it's first come, first serve. We have, I think, 7 slots left.
Get there soon. Get there soon.
It starts on what date? Wednesdays?
March 20th. Wednesdays at
weeks.
7 p.m. Eastern.
Are you going to show this is the real topic that we need to discuss? BK socially active up on Instagram, showing off his brand new SkiErg.
You like that?
Did it work?
What do you mean? Did it work?
It looked like it. Did it feel like you were?
It seemed like a narrow grip SkiErg.
It was definitely narrow grip for sure.
This, to me, this is the incline trainer of mountains. That's what this is. Like, can you run on an incline trainer and get better at mountains? Yes. Is it 1-to-1? No.
Okay.
You have to engage your core. So every other rep I do kneeling so that I get higher up and have to pull more. So it's not 1-to-1, but it's above a C level. It's probably a B minus.
I like it.
Now, are you transitioning? Like, I'm going to do some rowing and then right into SkiErg, and then you have to like slowly disassemble the contraption, or are you like, this is a SkiErg
tip it right over?
Yeah.
Right now, my hand and my leg are bruised because I did a Hyrox sim this weekend.
Ooh.
And my rocks zone for that was transition. I had to take it from there and get it into there. And then I was sweaty and it slipped and spun in my hands. I didn't want to crack the monitor, so I dove with it and it rocked me, pinched my hand on the seat. It's not a well-oiled machine for transitions yet.
Not yet. Couple
Just
more
work the machines in isolation. You don't need to ski and row at the same time.
I never do other than that sim, and I found out why I'll never do that again except for my next sim.
How'd the sim go?
Well, it was an approximate sim, Rich Ryan. I didn't do wall balls, because that's the thing that's going to add 2 more days of soreness to my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you get off that 8th run and you already know how your wall balls are going to go. Lunges told you what you need to work on already. So it's 7/8 duration, minimal rock zone, and I ran the whole thing.
You did full thousands?
7:30 pace. Well, I did it on the treadmill. I did 4 minutes at 7:30 pace.
Gotcha.
7 minutes, it was incline. So
where was that putting your heart rate?
What did you say?
Where was that? Was your heart rate?
It was coming down
3?
below 145 for the first 3 rounds. Then it'd sit at like 148 after that.
What's that for you? Like, where is that? Like,
aerobic threshold is 148, 150. So like it's aerobic.
Hard, yeah.
Okay.
So I ran easy, stationed hard, and then you can't make anything of the time because they were 4-minute runs, but they were at like 430, 425 per K pace. So
you got that in the bag.
So it was 57, 58. Add in a rock zone, add in another 4 minutes of running based on the effort I was running. It was a 68 to 70. But even that, like, we know, I learned the hard way. You can't put any stock in sim times. But it was to figure out where am I going to fail on a race day and what do I need to work on. And oh, baby, did I fail in a few spots.
Brakken, I think after our Hyrox simulation, you kind of got a real test. I know it was with the women's pro weights for our open doubles, but like that was at least a solid thing.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, I know. I would say if your running has improved since then, you're in a good spot.
Oh, my running is much improved. What apparently is not improved at all is my grip strength.
The farmers?
Yeah, so
farmers in the lunges?
That SkiErg, I just had a rope through there, a skinny rope. And by the end of 1,000 meters pulling on the skinny rope, I was already feeling it. And then the sled pull brought me, and then the rowing to the point where farmer's carry, I started losing my grip really early. Lunges were slow, but I didn't have to.
Was it up in your hands, like in forearms? To hold? That happens to me. I'll come off farmers and hold it.
Shaking.
And I'll be like,
shaking.
Yeah.
I overweighted everything to make it bad. But yeah, farmer's carry was by far the worst thing, which is encouraging. You could probably improve that the quickest.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm not in shape to run a Hyrox hard right now, but running easy in between.
Get the volume in. That's the first step. right? You need to be able to do the thing in totality and then start layering in some of that spice. You got time too, man. You got lots of time.
Still got 12 weeks after this week.
You're good to
Anyway,
go.
ergs much improved from all this double threshold work, Rich.
Nice.
Because you're doing the whole run in the morning and then machine at night or vice versa. You're not doing double run for your double threshold.
No, machines are the double. Sometimes I'll run like 1K off the final erg rep, just at Hyrox race pace, but it's not really a
primarily
workout.
It's primarily erg based or machine based for.
Yeah, and I alternate. 1 PM session is ski based with a row finisher. The other is row based with a ski finisher.
Cool.
Tell me if you can see what's on my finger. Did it focus?
That looks like
Spots?
a bunch of dots. Are you lactate testing?
Got a lactate test done yesterday. Got FTP on a bike.
They went that, not earlobe, huh?
They went finger.
Is that why you're asking about the best bike recommendation in the?
I need a bike. I need a bike trainer, a cheap one. I don't want to I want one that I can. So I'm gonna start spending time on the bike.
Why?
Talk to Dylan.
That's why he's in the message that was shot out.
Okay.
I talked to him indirectly. I don't do
why
the one
bike specifically.
I got it.
I think it's just it's measurable right now that I have some measurements on it, and it's the muscular endurance is just like really solid. I think
it's better than the Concept 2 bike.
I think it's the same, but a Concept 2 bike is
a lot more expensive.
It's $1,100, and you can't ride it outside, right? So I'm gonna get a bike that I can ride outside and just put it on a trainer, and I think I'm gonna get the same stimulus. But this is the first time I ever did an FTP on a bike.
So real quick, VJ, he said that if he could have one machine, it would be that Concept 2 bike. So, but I know that doesn't fit your requirement for going outside. But he says that he would take that over any, biker or skier, rower, or air bike.
Right. Unless you're training for Hyrox.
It's a good tool.
Sure.
It's a good tool for sure. But it is. I would love to get it, but you can't move it.
Yeah.
It's
the thing
just
is,
like another
good
machine.
trainers get up in that range anyway. But you're gonna get a cheap one.
Well, if I don't have a bike, so if I get like a secondary bike and then get a trainer that's like $200 to $300, it seems like
all day.
Yeah,
seems like the base level one is about that much.
During COVID, I got one of the lift your rear wheel off the just a stationary platform thing or whatever. I don't even know what it's called at this point.
Get rollers.
Yeah, roller. It was $50 on Facebook Marketplace during COVID.
It's rollers.
Yeah.
Rollers, you need a little bit of skill, right? You kind of
that's like a Kevin Gelati type of thing.
Where I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, no. Mine was it. You have your the nuts and bolts on the back of like your back tire, and then you put a couple of things to keep it stable on each side of it, and then it just stays elevated. And you can adjust the tightness to make it more resistance or not. Mine was $50, but that's a very cheap one. I'd say you could probably get one for like $100. That's pretty solid.
You're gonna go power meter and everything, or what?
Do they come with power meters? Like a trainer?
The good ones.
Useful.
Like if you get a good Wahoo, it's got a full setup, full Zwift setup, and everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a power one. Yeah, just because it's just that other metric that you can just really kind of.
You want data?
Yeah, you can lock that.
Yeah, just get a power crank or whatever.
And that's just what's missing from row and ski, and also just muscularly, that seems to crap out on like the ski and ends up being more of a muscular thing. So I'm going to work much more like high end on the ski and row, focusing on kind of like 1K proficiency, and then a lot more of my other threshold zone 2 stuff will be on the bike.
How many other athletes do you know who do Hyrox at a high level? Like Hunter bikes a lot.
How many in general? You want to count all the Hyrox?
How many friends you have, Rich?
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying
I can go for days.
Is it a common tactic? Like Dylan, he's had a lot of success recently. Hunter, obviously, best in the world at what he does. Rylan does a ton of it. Any of the women.
Sandy's on the bike.
Plyo, obviously. Yeah.
It's a quad-based sport.
I think Sarah
like
Hyrox used to be a cyclist. She was around back in the day. But...
I think running is a limiter. Running volume is a limiter in this sport for just longevity, injury prevention, and just like
you're beating yourself up a lot during training.
Yeah, just like strength degradation. I think running can kind of do that. So a lot of athletes, I believe, are supplementing their aerobic work with zone 2 stuff. And like zone 3 stuff, you can just like zone 3 high, zone 4 or anaerobic threshold. Like you just kind of like sit there And like yesterday, I did a ramp test for this, and it was
oh man, 4-minute rounds. Or?
It was I think I don't know, because I was seeing triple by the end.
That gets nasty.
Yeah, and I sat on the bike for like an hour with a warm up and the whole thing, and then later that night, didn't feel like I did anything.
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
there's no impact.
Yeah,
I think
Tour de France riders, they go like 6 hours a day and do it all over again.
And they get doped up and do it again.
That's right. I think there's 3 routes for volume for Hyrox specifically. You either have such a background on the ergs that you can aerobically erg.
Mm-hmm. Dylan's doing that right now.
Yeah, like the skill level is, you're so proficient that you can sit on there for 90 minutes and you're fine. It's not a muscular thing. It's not a form thing. Your joints aren't breaking down. For the rest of us, it's either get on a bike or you hike or jog uphill on the incline. I think those are the 2 ways. You can't take extra impact because it's too demanding, like you said, for recovery, for lifting and all the other things you have to do. And it's such a quad-based sport that you want the localized work that you're going to need on race day while being aerobic. And that is incline work or stair stepper. I think stair stepper would be just as good. Not stair stepper, the stair mill.
Yes.
Or you get on a bike.
What's the difference between stair stepper and stair mill? Because I hear those
stair stepper just tick, 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 tick.
Oh, okay.
The mills where the steps kind of come out at you.
Okay, yeah,
You're
yeah.
actually taking stairs.
Much more dangerous.
Either way, you got to go to non-impact quad work for aerobic. I think that's the must if you can't be aerobic and efficient on the ergs.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting piece to it. And I'm not going to get like clips. I'm just going to do cages. And I think I'm going to do some compromise work with it. I think I'm going to do it and like sit there for 4 to 6 minutes and get off. No.
They are the closest thing to OCR and hybrid fatigue I've ever felt in my life. The very first triathlon I did, I got off the bike, and you hear about T2 all the time. Second transition is the worst thing in life. And I got off and I thought, oh, this is OCR. Like, this is bad, but this is getting to the top of Killington. This is finishing a double sandbag carry. This is stadium stair. Like, we know this is getting off the sled push. This is the exact feeling. And so I think it's a great compromise to work out.
Now, your data with the finger pricks, that's going to give you different information versus you would have if you were testing solely on the rower or SkiErg, or if you're running, because you're going to have different levels.
Yeah.
You
can take it and plug it into a formula, like where my lactate really spiked. I had about 12 millimoles of lactate at 150 beats per minute on the bike, which on the run would probably be closer to 165, 168 or so. So like you can kind of put like you plug it into a formula to kind of give you your run splits as well. And that was about what I figured, like the numbers that I got. I was like, that seems
so they lined
right
up with what you know to be true about yourself anecdotally.
Yeah.
That's
Does
nice.
it feel the same?
Yeah.
Like you're feeling at like this heart rate, despite it being 15 beats a minute slower, you're like this effort level is similar to what it would be like for this zone at running.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much more muscular on the bike for me, and that's what I was worried about. I was talking to a guy. I was like, I'm worried I'm gonna just like not be able to do this and be okay aerobically, but getting that lactate up to 12 plus, that's like a good sign. Like I'm happy I was able to get there.
Yeah. So I've got another Kevin Gregory. We talked in the fall, and he said that he did a lactate threshold test, and his lactate threshold on the ski was 150, row was 158, and run was 165. So about 15 different between ski and run, and rows in between there. So I'm sure it'd probably be similar for you. I don't think he did it on a bike. It'd probably be a special.
He did it on each machine. That's the way to go. That's the way to go.
Yeah. The closest you'll get to run is a salt bike in terms of using upper and lower body and cadence being relatively similar.
But he's such
rowing
an exception
cadence. There. What'd you say?
He'd be an exception on the assault bike.
I'm just saying, like for most athletes, the rowing cadence is too slow to have your heart rate quite as high as running.
And you're sitting.
SkiErg, and you're seating, so you're fighting gravity way differently. And SkiErg, you're only using like 2/3 of your body, maybe 3/4. Anyway, the heart rate is going to change for everything, but assault bike is your closest zone, is what I believe.
Arms are involved,
but just like you just get yourself in over
and
your
there's
head.
A cadence based. You can use your arms more, and that balances out the impact and fighting gravity, is what I found. Like the cadence matters.
You just get
the reset on the rower keeps you a little lower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just feel like muscularly it'd be hard to do those tests on the ski and row unless you're putting in a ton of time.
Is the sport getting to the point where having data like this is really kind of going to be a game changer for people? Because I know that
we'll see
it, the
Ingebrigtsens, if you use it.
Yeah, if you use it. But like lactate threshold training, that's a huge in the running world at the moment. So I can imagine it's only going to be helpful during this. Like I don't think that you could necessarily do it in wall ball sets, because what's going to give out, like, it's probably muscular rather than you reach a certain amount of lactate at that point. So,
but you can only train cardiovascular.
Yeah, it's like farmer's carry. You're not just going to keep doing it. It's like your grip's going to give out at some point. You're not going to get useful data there
until you get strong enough that you can maintain. I think that's where it will go, is that if you can just peg your effort and your heart rate for the full hour, like that's when it's going to get the best results we're going to see, where like you don't have to take a tremendous amount of breaks on the sleds or lunges or whatever. If you can just like keep that work rate there, like then I think it's going to like really go crazy.
You just saying pegging your heart rate right there, that just made me think of, I know Johnny Lunalima at one point said that he could peg his heart rate within like a beat a minute or something and obviously he was as proficient as anybody
on the
descents.
In the sport, he was talking
on the descents.
That's crazy,
ridiculous. But regarding hybrid with that, so you're gonna have a lower goal heart rate basically to be your lactate threshold for skiing, right? Versus the rower, versus running.
Run.
Like, yeah. So do you think that this might actually change race strategy if you get tested on each machine? You're like, you know what? I should probably lower my heart rate a little bit because I'm just going to the well too much at the beginning, and maybe a 4 flat versus a 350 or a 345 is the way to go. Like once you get that data, is that how it might end up going? Like you reveal some information that wasn't available or that wasn't known before.
I think you'll go faster.
Yeah.
I think you'd be like, I can do this fast and come out and be okay. I'm going to go faster and I'm going to raise my ceiling on these things.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. I think what you find is that the heart rate will matter less and less during races, and people will know the actual power they can put out under duress. I think that's the next stage, because what do you do with the heart rate? If you come in off a run at 168, but your lactate threshold for rowing is 154, how do you really wrap your head around that? What does it really mean? And does my lactate threshold on rowing actually matter in a 4-minute dose in the middle of a 60-minute race? Like, where can I exceed and not exceed? And I think it comes down to FTP across the board rather than heart rate across the board. That's what I believe.
And this is something I've been thinking about, right? Because in my last race, my heart rate in the back half was over like what my anaerobic threshold would say. And it's like, oh, the stations may be allowing me to go beyond, and then it comes back. Yeah. Right. So
yeah, we talked about this on a TRP episode, and then we had a cardiologist and then an exercise phys chime in afterwards. And then the question we had got from someone was, why can I average over my lactate threshold for 2 hours of OCR racing? And the answer is that when we get steady state and we tip over, like, you are on your borrowed time, but you can spike over and under and average higher without spending a second at that heart rate. And that's how you cheat the system. And eventually I think that's what Hyrox is going to be. You'll see people come off this, like the sled's a limiter. You're only going to be able to do it so hard.
Yeah.
But eventually people are going to come off running 520 pace instead of 550 pace or 540 pace. And so that overall, like Rich is saying, you're going to work harder because you're going to be able to not chill, but recover slightly and then over rev. Yeah, that's where the like triathletes now, they run so hard. They bike so hard. They swim so hard. But because each one saves them for the other piece.
Yeah. Because it's like, it would be so counterproductive to be like, oh, 155 is what I have to be at the rower, but I'm sitting at 170. Let me slow down a little bit so that my heart rate can catch up. That's not going to help you in a race, like time wise. I can't imagine a world where that's the better idea.
The also on the heart rate side of things, if people are like, oh, I was 35 minutes at zone 5, it's like, your zones are probably messed up. You might need to calibrate something like that. That's something I find a lot. It's like, well, probably not.
Yeah. Well, and heart rate isn't, I don't believe, I think it's the least effective for multiple modality efforts, especially when you're spiking in and out, because there's always a heart rate lag. And then just the monitor shifts the more you move. Like cycling, it's so good. Running, it's pretty decent. You start throwing in funky things and you
ski,
shift a little bit.
Ski is not good.
Yeah. So you I don't think it's even with a good device, if you put the device in a bad position, then it's not good anymore.
I think the Polar OH1, that arm strap on your biceps, that's really good for moving around. I've never found any issues with that. Chest itself definitely moves around. You're doing burpees or anything overhead, like
uncomfortable.
Don't even think about it. SkiErg, that's going to shift around.
BK, they also put one of those internal temperature gauges on, like a little thermometer on my side here, and tracked that as well. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and he was like talking, he like kind of gave that reference, like, yeah, we'll see where that goes and if that matters. Like, I'd love to see what this looks like during a Hyrox, and if
is that for metabolic cost or what?
Yeah, just like seeing what happens at a certain temperature, like where, like if that is the limiter in your fatigue, if like you get to 102 degrees, is that when things kind of fall apart, and if it's like related to the other. In this isolated lab, like that really didn't play a factor, didn't ramp up too much.
It's kind of like a so what. You can't do much indoors with Hyrox about it. Like you could outdoor. Suppose you could run in a cooling vest if you want to, like, but you're not just going to be able to dump water on yourself all day.
Like, yeah, not all day, but like you can have some sort of strategy.
Yeah, like Galen Rupp, he had like the holes in his. He had like a race bib and he cut a bunch of holes in it for the marathon trials couple times ago. Rich, another question for you on this, because I'm sure there are a bunch of listeners who probably want to. They're like, wait a minute, this is probably going to be useful. You live at elevation. Mm-hmm. How transferable is that to race day once you drop to sea level, for instance?
So you also had a pulse oximeter, right, to see where the oxygen saturation levels were, and that's just going to show like how adjusted you'd be at bringing in the oxygen. So I'm acclimated. So are you asking? So the heart rates.
Well, let's say like you're in Colorado, it's like you mentioned, like 155 or something. Is that going to be 160 at sea level for the equivalent, or you can dip a little deeper at once more oxygen's available at sea level, or
I actually don't know, or if your just pace is faster at a certain. I actually don't know that, because I tried to find that. BK, maybe you have an idea of what that is, but like that was something I was thinking too. It's like, oh, can I just work harder, or do you work less hard? Because the things I found are like, oh, at altitude, your heart rate will be XYZ higher, just because like your heart is just going to try to get the oxygen to where it's not going, and it's going to just go faster. But I don't know.
Part of why dropping down has to be acclimatized too. Acclimated. Man, that was a fumble. You see it with it matters more the more intense the effort is. Like dropping down for a marathon doesn't really matter, but the more anaerobic you're going to get, the earlier you have to come down, because it actually is stressful to move essentially, for lack of better terms, heavier weight through your lungs, because you just have a higher percentage of oxygen available. So there's the reverse effect as well. But the safe way to do it is your heart rate's your heart rate. You're just going to be a little faster at that heart rate. Like, don't change your zones. Start the race off how you know how to, and then you can build. That is part of the reason why altitude adjusted athletes close so well, is because if you can chill up front, you have more available on the back half.
That's a good point. Yeah,
where's the reverse? Me going up to altitude, I'm 8 to 10 beats above my limit right away, and you have to make the choice. Do I lower it, or do I just suffer? And
do I do shorter reps, right? Just like
correct. And I'm saying like race day itself, but like,
no, you're
toast.
Screwed. You're done.
I spent 3 weeks at sea level essentially, and then I came back to Colorado, and that first run I was like 7-8 beats a minute higher at the same pace, and I was like, that's only 3 weeks of difference, 6,000 something feet to go up to. So I definitely noticed the difference there.
The dude was telling me about, so they, here in Colorado, so they deal with like Nordic skiers, right? That's big for this type of testing. And there was some stage race. I don't know anything about that world, but there's a stage race that's four legs, 4 days. The first 2 days they say would go well, but there's a major dip in performance from these altitude athletes at the third and fourth, kind of because what you're saying, BK, is like there's an immediate and then it just kind of drops. But then if they are at sea level for 7 to 10 days, he was kind of saying, you get about 2 weeks of time to be down, to still have it. So he's saying that might be a little bit of time. And I know that's something you've touched on before, but like being at sea level before competition could be helpful.
Yeah. And a lot of it depends on lung volume as well. Like Atkins races well up. He has enormous lungs. He just has more lung capacity than a lot of people. That actually matters. And the same thing coming down, what kind of lungs you have determine how you handle it. But my first run down feels so good at sea level, and I'm way slow. Like my perceived exertion is all off. I'll be like, I've talked about that 5K. I decided to just run the first mile in a time trial, like 7 days out from a national series race when I came home for a funeral. Just run the first mile on feel. I didn't get to check my watch. And I guessed I was like at 4:58 to 5:0 pace, just like feeling beautiful. And I came through at 5:21. Like, oh no. And I wasn't hurting. I just could not feel what I was actually doing.
Right.
I was just so off. And then by the time I got to race day, I was dialed.
Yes.
But
I believe that to be the case for sure.
In where would it have been? When was the Sochi, maybe? Winter Olympics. We have the US National Ice Center a mile and a half from my house. So all the US speed skaters train there. And they bombed. That's back when we had who was it? Shawnee Davis. He was the number one speed skater in the world. Okay. Anyway, they all went over there, ranked in their events, and no one made finals. We got no medals out of it. And the big talk around town was that they came down last minute from altitude, and they were the only team that did it. And they were just flat. Like they missed time coming down. They spent like $4 million on their altitude camp, and Under Armour was the title sponsor that year. And there was some drama about their speed suits and everything, but they came down less than a week, for like 4 days prior to the Olympics, and people didn't make it out of finals. Like even at the highest level, it's so personal that people get it wrong sometimes.
I come down and feel dizzy. Like when I start moving, especially in these indoor events, it's like I'm a little bit kind of feel out of my body. And I just know that's like what happens now. And I used to be like, oh my God, it's a bad day, but it's just like how it feels.
It takes trust. Like you have to trust that you can lean into it still. And you got to feel it a bad one first. And anyways, all that to be said, the testing is only going to dial people in if you use it.
Yeah, I think it's more for training. Once race day rolls around, it's a good limiter at the beginning of the race, so you don't tip over a little too much. But then you just kind of have to race, like at a certain point during it.
But one of these things, like getting this lactate test, and we're tiptoeing into territory that we're going to cover in this course. But I just had this conversation with a real high level athlete about this, and the idea is that lactate threshold testing and training is no more effective than any other style of training out there. But it happens more frequently because it costs you less. And the more frequency you get in with your training, the less guessing there is on race day.
You're talking about just actual workouts themselves.
The workouts themselves that you can use these numbers for, you can just hit them more frequently and you get way more reps. And the more reps you get in, once you get to race day, like that whole, let's just drop it and race, you're just better at that process because you just click right into the work you know how to do rather than spacing them out so far. You're just hitting them so frequently. So I think it does make a lot of sense for hybrid in particular because of doubling and tripling.
Rich, did you like taper for a couple days beforehand because you wanted nice results from when you were fresh? Was this like just in the middle?
I just didn't go. I mean, I'm kind of in like a down period. So I'm just like generally okay. I just haven't, my volume's just down. So I didn't feel like whatever.
Just wanted to know if there was like a cross effect or anything.
I mean, I wouldn't imagine. I mean, maybe.
You didn't do it the day after a Hyrox, so you were.
No, I wasn't like ripped to shred. I mean, if it was just like super sore or just slept poorly, I could see it mattering, but no.
FTP tests or ramp tests, they immediately show you why cyclists can do so much volume and intensity. Because like you said, you recover because you're not hitting the ground.
Yeah.
But it also shows you why they are just some of the toughest athletes on earth because you can do it so often and hurt so bad and then recover and do it again. Like they can just make themselves suffer.
And there's this like point on the bike that I think would transfer to Hyrox where it's like you're pressing and your legs are blowing up, but you can still go. Right. You just have to choose to just sit in it and see if it gets worse. And it kind of doesn't, you
can thrash yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can get ugly form it's like skiing, cross country skiing. That's why they have huge VO2 maxes. Running, you have to stay efficient or you're not even putting power out.
Right.
On a bike, if you want, just like stand up,
no
grit
skill,
your teeth, shut your eyes, and just fight for the last minute.
You're fixed on how you can move. Even like a rower or a ski, like you're kind of, you can get a little wonky. On a bike, it's just like spinning and you're just hammering it.
Now, is your test like 4 minutes, increase it 25 watts, and then just keep doing that till you top out? Or
I think it was every minute for about 20. I think I made it to 18. I think that's what it was. And it was jumping about 10 watts or so. My number, my functional threshold of power was 262. So I don't know. He seemed happy about that. I was like, great.
Sure, it's good.
Yeah. I was like, that sounds perfect. BK, you got yours?
On a bike? Absolutely not.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
I haven't done that since probably 2016.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was nice to kind of check in on it and see it's something different, right? It's just like a different piece, a different like thing I could use for training and learn more about.
Less impact. Yeah.
Less impact. That's fine. BK, I wore the fast forwards this morning on the track.
Ooh.
I like them.
What'd you do?
Thousands. I'm just working about 4x1,000 at that threshold. So it's hard. Muscular,
for visual's sake. There's no front to this shoe.
That is a weird looking shoe.
Got a full stack in the heel,
back.
and then basically just plate up until here. And you got a channel and a cutout. It's a funky shoe.
It feels okay though.
How fast were you moving in it?
I was running like 5:15s.
Okay.
So felt fine. I mean, the sizing's not right. The sizing is certainly off on the thing.
I got the right size.
Oh, really? It's a little tight.
It's a little small.
A little tight. But it feels like a track spec because of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I showed you these guys. Got the Speeds.
Oh, the Speed Force.
Endorphin Speeds out here.
I have not liked a Speed yet.
I think this is my first time wearing a Speed. So BK, the difference in the Speed is the plates, correct?
Yeah, one is carbon, the other one is plastic, essentially, or some sort of
is bullshit. The upper is a little bit more trainer-like, and the price point's better. I think this would be a good hybrid shoe.
Yeah,
in my opinion, like it's not no frills, so it's not.
The Speed is the everyman's hybrid racing shoe.
I think so. And like the bottom of this thing, what else rubber?
Speed. Yeah,
what else rubber on here?
That's no worse than like the Launch or the. Yeah, that's like a Launch spot. Yeah,
it'd be better than that for sure. Like, yeah, better. I think this is an upgraded version to even the Hyperion. Maybe not as good as Grip, but still good.
Yeah. Just wanted to bring it back to OCR real quick. We also have the Savage race. I know that you wanted to touch on that real quick.
It'll be very quick.
That's fine. Anyone
see any other race?
And we talked about the national series standings. Like OCR is gonna heat up really soon. We just OCR and hybrid just kind of have opposite schedules. So now is kind of the hybrid heavy portion of the year with world champs, last chance qualifiers and everything. But like summer and fall, that's when we're definitely going to be in an OCR heavy area. So if that's kind of your focus and what you like listening to, so don't give up.
Yeah, and there's live streams going on for Hyrox every weekend and Deka now, and there's not for OCR currently. So unfortunate. However, the Green Brothers, I ran into these two gentlemen at that abominable snow race I ran in good old Wisconsin, because they're Wisconsin boys themselves.
Nice.
And they were split pins at the end of the lane. Marquez took it to me, but I managed to put one over on the other guy. And then they go down there and they go 1-2 in the first Savage Pro Series race of the year. So always makes you feel better if someone who beats you beats other people. So thank you, Marquez, for keeping Wisconsin proud.
Yes, Marquez and Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan did great too. Second place in a Pro Series race. That's prestigious.
That's great. And then
Annapolis taking the win for the women.
She's just nasty.
No surprise. Yeah,
nasty as Savage.
Does she have the most women podiums for Savage at this point? Like,
I think she does.
Maybe
more than Rachel
Crigliano.
Yeah,
but yeah, Jamie just
set your watch by her race in Savage.
And there was Noel Medina in third on for the men's. Yeah, it was Jamie Horanopoulos, Courtney Washington.
I saw that name a couple of results last year.
Golovkina.
Okay.
Nathan and Marquez are Ninja Warrior guys. I think Nathan was on American Ninja Warrior.
I think so.
Really?
I think so.
And they ran small college cross around here. So between the two, these guys have some
skill
sets.
Oh, I thought they went to
make
Madison.
some waves.
Not ran at Madison, but maybe not. Did you guys see that television show that they're like trying to find the fittest athlete?
I saw Ryland.
They didn't know CrossFit already did that.
Right. I don't know if they're going to put him in a house and cause drama or something. Maybe it's like the challenge, but for like actual fitness athletes.
Yeah.
I got the sense it was traveling around still.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm way off on that.
What did you hear about it, Riz? Because I just saw Ryland posted some 8-minute burpee tests, and I saw a story on ORM, and that is all that I know.
That's the submission, right?
It's something like that. And I heard that it was just for people living in LA right now is where they're doing the recruiting, right? And then maybe they'll open it up later. But I don't see how 8-minute burpee test. Like there's gonna be a ton of people doing fairly well at that, but
terrible burpee form also by
some
people.
They're gonna want to see it. Yeah, they're gonna want to see. I don't know. That's something I'm not trying to do.
Yeah, there's way better ways to ruin your day than doing 8 burpees.
BK,
in 8 minutes.
In your opinion,
yeah,
how are these shows? Like, have we seen it enough that we know it's just gonna be goofy and like not interesting, or is there a model that has not been tapped into yet that could actually be interesting?
Oh, there's a way to make this interesting, but it has to be reality show first, competition second.
So like the challenge, like MTV,
like the challenge, like the Ultimate Fighter, those kind of things. Like it has to be compelling enough that people will watch TV. And then, oh yeah, we're going to wow you with our physicality. That's the recipe. And what we failed on so far is we try to wow you with physicality first. And it's either in a super pleasing format that's short and explosive like Ninja Warrior, or it's in a nonsensical format that doesn't hold people's attention or make any sense, like $1 Million Mile or Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge or things like that just don't quite catch on. So you have to make a great show first. And then it happens to be athletes second.
Yeah, I think you need to have people to root for and against. Establish that pretty early, especially if it's not a revolving cast. Like if it's week 1, here's the people. They still try to paint a villain almost every episode, even if they do that. But you definitely need that drama side of it, because most people sitting on the couch can't do even what the average athlete's doing, never mind the high end. So anything's impressive to them.
Yeah, the key seems to be you have to show the athletes throughout the day. If it's only the competition you're showing, the competition has to be so entertaining. It has to be like a Ninja Warrior or football or basketball. Right. But that's enough. Otherwise, you have to show the drama and the life throughout the day. You have to keep people cut off from reality, cut off from technology, bored, and probably with access to alcohol. And then you have a show. Right. And every other successful network show knows how to do that.
I think Kirk DeWitt should sign up.
I think Kurt should consult.
He should definitely consult.
That's actually a good point.
Should definitely consult. Yeah, he'd be in. We should have got Kirk on the challenge. We've done work.
Yeah.
They're taking people from other shows now. It's not just real world folks. Yeah, it's like people from Survivor and whatever. I don't know.
Honestly, Ryland, I don't care what show it is. He'd probably be my pick for who's just going to do well with some type of physical competition you just throw at him. I hope, if he does end up getting selected for it, because he's the only one I've really seen posts about it.
All right, Jack, speaking of doing well in goofy games and random skills, you posted several pictures. You had a photo dump from Gov Games, but one of them looked like a Pop-A-Shot game.
Yeah, it did. No one told me there was hoops.
Yeah, but it was basically medicine balls that were anywhere from 2 to 12 pounds.
Yeah, but shooters shoot, and that comes through. And what I need to know is, on your team, who could play some ball?
So Ryan McGuire actually sat out, and he was pretty solid. VJ was decent. Ryland was pretty decent. I made several buckets. No one was a liability. We had 3 people shooting for the most part.
So if you choose Ryland, and I agree, if it is at all fitness or engine based, Ryland's probably my emissary out to fight the aliens on the men's side. What if you introduce skilled sports? How is he going to do?
He struggled a little bit on one task where he was killing it during practice, but the game situation was different than what we were practicing. And you had like a rope, but it was waterlogged, and you had basically the rope had a different weight than the ball or heavy weight that was tied to the end of it. So it was a weird thing to figure out. It probably took 5 or 6 throws. We were stuck there for a little while, and then you had to pull it out of the water. So it was just like a delayed thing. But once
so skill was
practicing, when we were practicing, he was a very good raw target thrower. So I think he'll be fine with that kind of stuff. And he played soccer at a very high level for several years. He's an athlete. He's not just an endurance athlete. He's an athlete.
Because you have 2 types. You have him or Lauren Weeks or Meg who are competent across the board. And they have a Hunter who's an outstanding engine and very much less coordinated than the average athlete. Like you would send him to meet the aliens if it was only engine.
But if you have to dribble a basketball, I'm probably not picking Hunter.
If you had to catch it or kick it or throw it or like not run into someone, you wouldn't choose him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's really good at fitness, not
so good
athletics.
At it.
Yeah.
He's the best fitnesser I've ever seen.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. What's that? Eastbound and Down. It's like, I'm not trying to be the best exerciser.
I was offended when he said that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Cancel that show.
Okay. Last piece, and then I'm out.
All right.
I was running my 8s today. All right. There's a strip of grass in front of the State Fair Park that's kind of churned up and it gets sloppy, and it's where I test shoes on flat ground. So I'm going by, and this little girl, we're talking like 3 or 4 years old, walks out of her house with her dad. And she says, I'm like, what's he doing? And the dad said, oh, he's exercising. She said, why? And he said, to stay healthy. And I was so taken aback by my visceral reaction to that. And I think that was like the denominator in who you are as an athlete. I've never once thought about how healthy will this make me ever. Even though like there's very little left on this planet that I'm going to like compete for a win on, I still am only training to compete. And when does that shift? I don't know, but still it hasn't shifted in me. I was like, I'm not exercising. Are you kidding me?
I've had people be like, oh, yeah, where are you going jogging later? I'm like, I don't jog.
Or we ain't out here jogging.
Yeah. Or you going to the gym? What are you exercising today? I'm like, I train. It like there's
trying to stay healthy.
Yeah.
No, it's almost it's too
far
in the
break
other direction
down today.
Yeah, it's like this is not wellness. This is beyond. We are towing the line into something that's not healthy.
Yeah, if this goes wrong, I'm a worse person today.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't health,
physically and mentally.
Get out of here.
All right.
Good reaction, Brakken.
Good way to punctuate that. That'll wrap us up today. We made it. Next week we have. Is it going to be another episode like this?
Reach out if you have a topic that you want us to talk about.
Maybe we'll try to.
When's the next last chance qualifier or the first? What are we looking at?
I thought that's
Cologne.
Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Cologne. It's like the FIBO race expo situation. That is April 13th.
Yeah. I remember I sent out the calendar for like topic ideas, and we're gonna have a lot of busy weeks in a row once summer gets rolling. It's just
we have Hyrox Houston, and there's another Hyrox in Germany as
making
well.
Her debut.
Oh yeah, we'll see if that happens.
Prediction: how do you think she does? Sub 65? Yes or no? I feel like that's a good line.
That's a good line.
I'm never bullish on debuts.
Yeah. Even if she has it, like I think that it's going to be hard for her to know how fast to run. She might be able to run as fast as she needs to, but I'm guessing she'll be too conservative to run that fast.
Even if she's a 62 person right now,
which she could be,
it's hard to be a 65 person on your first try.
We saw Ricky Garrard run 60 and change.
62. That was really good.
62.
But he's kind of a maniac.
Blew me out of the water, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's the exception to the rule.
You give him a little bit of time. I think we know he would have been sub 60, or, he has potential to be sub 60 for sure. I think, just like you said, it's just hard to nail it on that first time. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 65-40, 65 something, but I don't
I'm going to say she does.
65.
That's the background you want to know how to pace yourself, to have a shot at it.
You're going to say yes.
I'm going to say that she breaks the Ryker line.
I don't know about all that. I'm going to try to, I'm looking and seeing if she's in the start list yet.
What's the Ryker line for Hyrox? Is it 64?
Men or women?
Christy O'Connell. Yep. She's in as O'Connell. Nice. So she's registered.
Good. That's good for the sport.
She's at least registered.
That is good for the sport. I mean, it'll bring eyeballs for sure.
Hasn't tested positive as far as I know.
No. And she does really well in the running
She's like a
distance
304
events.
marathoner or something like.
And even at the
good runner.
CrossFit Games, she's always going to be like, she's been like top 2 to 3.
Yeah. It's like
Whenever
her,
there's
Sam
some sort of
Briggs kind
long.
of separating every time.
Yeah.
64-48 Booker.
64.
65-40.
Yeah, I don't see her going slower than that. Yeah. 65-20.
All right. We're in the middle.
Trying to see
Good work, boys.
And their names on here. We did it. So we'll have something to talk about next week, sort of. We'll keep this thing rolling. Appreciate everybody bearing with us here, but I think this went fairly well.
Yeah. Good variety.
I think we just crushed, like always. All right, squad. Talk to you soon.